Hello everyone, I'm Dave O'Hara, broker with Diamond Realty and Loan. Trusted partner,
Gabriel Meyer.
Yeah, no S. Anyway, so a tragedy occurred a couple of weeks ago that prompted this topic, and it's so timely. And this is something that actually prompted me to exercise as well. But this is about, as you've read, planning the right paperwork for your estate. Now, you never know. You can't get out of here alive, and things happen. My friend of many years, I did a reverse mortgage for her 5 or 6 years ago, and we became friends, and we'd chat probably every week for at least a half hour, to be honest. And she was relatively good health. She passed away. She had a stroke, and while sitting in the hospital and in the ICU with her girlfriends, 2 of which were attorneys, we talked about how she didn't have a power of attorney. She didn't have any of these paperwork that we're going to talk about that could have really made the life of her friends a lot easier during that event. And an interesting side note is that she wanted all of her money to go to the St. Bernard rescue place, because that's where her beloved dog had gone. And she definitely didn't want her money to go to her estate. She was estranged from her family, long story, but the point though is it's an individual's desires and dreams and their property, their house, their home is in most cases the largest financial investment a person has, and for that to just then goes into probate, the courts assign a fiduciary and they decide where all this goes.
Yeah, and it's really who has a legal right to that property, because you haven't outlined it. That's another thing too to talk about is, people don't like to talk about death. They don't like to talk about these things that are going to happen to us. We're going to all die.
Yeah.
But to sit down, everybody wants to be happy. They have their jobs, they have their family. We're young, we're fit. We don't think about those things that we're thinking 40, 50, 60 years in the future. But we hear it all the time, we see it all the time, people passing unexpectedly. So these talks need to happen. They're very important to happen. And we've been on both sides where we've seen people that have not planned, like David's friend, and we've seen it to where they have planned, like one of my situations. And you realize that the emotional toll it takes when someone dies is it's very powerful. It is debilitating to some people. And now they have to deal with these financial issues that have not been set in place. And it wasn't because the person was dumb or they just didn't have the knowledge. Nobody ever talked to them about this. This is why we feel it necessary.
It's definitely necessary, and they just didn't take the time.
No.
It's amazing, because chatting with these ladies, they had these conversations.
Yeah.
We knew what she wanted done at the end. We knew where she wanted her money to go, but we didn't have the financial documents.
Yeah.
We didn't have the paperwork to facilitate it.
You could have had a recording of her telling you, this is what I want to happen. This is you're going to be the guy, but because it wasn't done on paper and it wasn't signed by a notary and all these things weren't done, now it's going to be in the hands of the things we're going to talk about right now. Yeah.
So let's start off with, we are not attorneys.
Not even a little bit.
Mortgage and real estate is our expertise, and we're very good at it, but we're not attorneys, we're not financial planners. So this is not financial advice or recommendations. These are just items that we're bringing up to you to help you be aware, so that perhaps you'll act on it sooner rather than later. And let's start off with a POA, power of attorney. Now, of course, you do have a really good story of a power of attorney working out well.
Yeah.
Power of attorney is 3 different types of power of attorney, of course. There's a durable power of attorney, a financial power of attorney, and a specific that a lot of people don't actually realize. But when doing a mortgage in a situation where you need a POA, it has to be a specific power of attorney in reference to that actual APN and address. So a durable power of attorney will allow you to do most everything you need to do for that person that's incapacitated, as opposed to financial power of attorney that, for the most part, just lets you do the financial transactions, the banking and the bills and these kinds of things. So there are the 3 different types, but you want to make sure and choose the right person. You know, we all know people that when it's an exciting time, that may not be the right person to choose.
Yeah.
But we also know the ones that are steadfast, even in exciting times, they still are true to form and can make the right decisions. And these are conversations that you would have with this person so that they knew what you wanted to have done, and the paperwork is all filled out and completed, and they know which route to go down.
Exactly.
So that's important. Choosing the right agent, making sure the right POA is filled out and notarized and stored in a place that is accessible to your agent. And it's also a very good idea to have a backup agent, because life happens. You may need a backup agent.
Yeah.
So just want to make sure and go through that. But Rick, if you don't have a power of attorney, tell your brief story, if you would, about that POA client that you had in front.
So I had a client that he knew his mom was ill a little bit. She hadn't really started to develop dementia, but she was not really caring for herself as much as she should have. And he just, he had the wherewithal to sit his mom down, kind of talk to her about these things, and just said, I know it's a tough subject to talk about, but in the event that you're incapacitated or you die, what do you want to happen? So he asked her, what does she want to see happen? Wrote these things down, and then had a power of attorney drawn up where he was he would be the power of attorney, right?
Yeah.
And every decision that he made was to honor her choices, what she wanted.
Yeah.
Now, let me backtrack a little. The opposite would have been, she doesn't have the power of attorney, she passes away. This is a very split family. And many of the people in this split family, they over a little bit of money will fight and bicker, and the emotions are so high. Not only do you lose somebody now, but now you have to deal with all this other stuff.
And just to clarify, so a power of attorney is while the person is incapacitated, but they're still alive.
Yeah.
As you'll go into,
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so she felt obviously good about that decision. He starts making these little decisions for her, takes care of her, waters the house, waters the lawn, does all these things, and then she starts getting dementia. And this is where the power of attorney kicked in. Any decision, the other side of the family saying, no, she wants this done. He says, no, look right here. She itemized this right here. This is what I want. She wants to have happen. Ended up doing those things for her. And then when it came time for the real decisions to put the house on the market, because she needed care in a facility. Well, guess what? The money was not there for that. So let's sell the house and make sure we can get those funds to further facilitate her being taken care of.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he did. And I said, that document cost him not even $500 to draw up.
Yeah.
But the amount of angst and pain it kept from happening was huge. And you can't put a price on it. So we're not advocating for you to go out and use any particular attorney. We don't get paid any commission off this. We're just telling you because we've lived it. We've seen both sides of it. It's very important to have your proverbial ducks in a row, if you will.
Yeah, and as for when it goes into effect, so you can have a springing power of attorney that goes into effect once that person is incapacitated. So it may not apply prior to that, but it has a springing effect, mechanism in there. So that might make some people a little more comfortable.
So you're saying the person who the power of attorney is drawn up for, they're able to continue to make these decisions. The power of attorney only kicks in the event that they are rendered incapacitated.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, which is kind of handy. And that would make a lot of people feel better about doing that as opposed to having it active currently and he or she may run off with more money. But obviously you're choosing the wrong agent if that's a worry you have.
Yeah. And I will say too, if you guys can, if you're watching, please put in any comments, things that can make us better at this stuff, because we want to learn this as well. Or maybe personal stories where you've, on both sides of that, where you had a family member that had a power of attorney and one that didn't. And those are the ones we like to hear, so we can share that with future clients.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about last will and testament a little bit.
So wills, a lot of people are under the the impression that a will solves everything. There's a holographic will, which basically means you write everything out, who you want to have what you want to see happen, and then you basically can mail it to yourself, or you can just keep it on hand. But the will only does so much. Even if you have a professional will drawn up by a company and you have everything itemized, it does not mean that the state is not going to still get involved. Meaning a will direct these things to happen. It'll direct who's going to get what at what time. Maybe little Johnny's going to get the coin collection, and Sarah's going to get the car, and who's going to get the house. Maybe it's going to be split up between the kids. Great. And so you feel at peace with that decision because you have a will, a last testament, and a will and last testament. But what happens, especially in the state of California, is things will automatically go to probate. If there's a will without a living trust, that will then go into probate.
I'll bet that's wildly misunderstood.
100%.
Yeah.
I have a will, I'm all good, I don't need anything else. I've directed to this to go where, and I'm okay now. But what happens is, let's say your estate is, for easy math, $1 million. That's the house and all your belongings. Well, a probate attorney or fiduciary or whoever, the facilitator who's going to deal with this, is going to charge a percentage of what the estate is. And that is across the board. In California, it changes course based on the value of the estate. So that person now, that person is going to get paid for dealing with this probate situation. And then that's going to go to court. They're going to see if the will stands up, and then they're going to decide if it does. And the state basically can decide, without a will especially, who would get what. And that goes in heirs and maybe next of kin. And there's usually an order of things like that.
Which would be even worse, because then you have a judge deciding for your family where things are going.
And that's a good point, because what if mom didn't want this person to even be involved in this?
Yeah.
And now after their passing, they don't get a choice in that, because the state is now, or the judge is now going to make a determination of who's going to get what.
Yeah.
And that's scary sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of families I see, especially in this day and age, that are split apart. They have nothing to do with one another, but those people still have access to that.
Yeah.
Those assets.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Healthcare directive is another good aspect to chat about here. And, this is about whether or not you want to be resuscitated or pain management, end of life, long-term type care, these kinds of things.
Do you want to go in a facility? Do you want to be at home with a nurse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, let me go. That's what I say. But I have a buddy that he was a firefighter paramedic, and he's retired, and he has a big Knoll sign in red tattooed on his chest. Knoll is the circle with the line.
Yeah.
It says don't do it, don't do it.
DNR.
Yeah, he wants no resuscitation, clearly.
Yeah. And
that's one way to go, but probably having it written in a healthcare directive that you again assign this person.
Yeah.
This could be part of a POA, right? That illustrates your desires to keep me comfortable and calm, but up the fentanyl as the days go on.
And you could, if correct me if I'm wrong, but you can have one person be a power of attorney for this, one person be for medical, one person maybe just do this, like you said, specific power of attorneys.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, we're not attorneys. So
correct us if we're wrong. That's for sure.
Yeah, but the point that we are really trying to make, and we do have a couple other aspects to chat about, is that these are important documents that you really need to get taken care of.
100%.
After the friend of mine passed 10 days ago, I had one of our notaries that we have a couple that are favorites, and she came to the house and notarized my stuff that it's been sitting in the safe for 5 years.
Yeah.
Finally got it notarized, so now it's covered.
Yeah, and you feel good, don't you?
Yeah, so much better.
Peace of mind.
And clearly I'm not going to care when I'm incapacitated and I'm in la land, but it's so much because I love my family and I want to make sure that they're not going, well, I don't know, we can't,
That's the thing, is you're doing something not for you. I used to be in the life insurance business. People never wanted to talk about that. But when somebody passed away and they found out that loved one had life insurance, they were the hero. They were the best person ever because they did something that's you already have an emotional emotional drain when somebody passes, but now you have to put all these finances or lack of finances on it, and it's really important. So the point of this is just a little bit of work on your part, and maybe a small amount of money will save so much effort for those loved ones that are going to be the recipients of that trust or that estate, if you will.
Yep. How about end of life plan?
Really quickly, if I may.
Yeah.
I had a friend that passed on June 13th of cirrhosis of the liver. Prior to him passing, he made his mom power of attorney, and she kind of lived far away, so I was the second power of attorney. Either of us could have made the same decisions. Medical decisions were mainly the thing we were doing here. But also what was going to happen after what you're going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So because he made us power of attorneys, anytime he was out of it, if he was on too much fentanyl, anytime he didn't have the wherewithal to make these decisions, we already had it all outlined, and we were able to tell the nurses, hey, this is what he wants done. Even to the point where I was helping drain him because I got pretty good at it. And he wanted these certain things to be done with him, and other people would come in and say, no, he doesn't want that. And I'd say, look, it's spelled out right here. Yeah. And guess what? Legally, the facility had to go off of what we did, the power of attorney. It's by law. Nobody else is able to make that decision. So again, it's important to have those things kind of drawn up, notarized, in line, and reviewed every couple of years, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. Policies change, taxes change.
Yeah.
Policies change, and life changes,
Yeah, quickly.
Life that had, I was thinking about religion because, in reference to end of life plan, certain religions want this done and others would prefer this. And it's all about your preferences, but you might change religions, you never know, and that might change. And so, you definitely want to review these type of documents every couple of 2-3 years and make adjustments, changes, re-notarize if warranted, for sure. Yeah. In reference to end of life, we all have our thoughts on that, and whether or not the body should be cremated or planted or in a mausoleum. We all have our own particular thoughts on this, but whatever your thoughts are right for you, and that's what needs to be in writing. Yes. So that is what's done. I had a loved one that didn't want to be cremated. Definitely against their religion. Mm-hmm. And the spouse cremated them to kill the cancer that killed them. And now she's haunting him every day. Yeah. But that's stuff happens. Yeah. Another thing that's in line with this, I believe, is Proposition 19. So we were chatting earlier before the recording started that Proposition 19 took away a lot of the really good aspects of Proposition 13, which is the Jarvis Act. And a lot of people know that name. They know Proposition 13 because property taxes are a huge expense that you never pay off. They always continue. They never go down. Very, very extremely rarely ever go down. And there's a lot of different aspects to taxes, and we could do a whole segment just on taxes because of fire damage victims and these kinds of things. They can carry their property tax value with them. They buy a more expensive house, they can blend it. But Proposition 19 is an interesting one that requires or allows the assessor in that area to reassess the property at current market value, which is a higher tax basis. Yeah. And in a lot of cases, the heirs are not. A lot of them are investment properties for rentals, maybe at the beach, or they might rent for $2,500, $3,500. Now they got to rent for $8,500 just to cover the taxes. Yeah. And that's not an exaggeration. So, with Proposition 19, about the only way to keep the current tax basis in a few cases, one is a child inheriting from a parent or grandparent. If they make it their primary residence within the first 12 months, then they can retain their current property value tax basis. Wow. However, that doesn't, just because I say it, doesn't guarantee it, meaning you gotta have the right paperwork filled out. That doesn't apply in any respect if it's a second home, investment property, commercial, condominium, any of these kinds of things, condominium if it's owner occupied, sure. But it doesn't apply to any other type, period. It's going to be reassessed. Now, a lot of times you can really reduce that assessment if you fill out the right paperwork. But it's not just have that filled out correctly, it's file it correctly
Yeah.
and at the right time. Obviously, this is all prior to the passing of your loved one, your parent or grandparent, or whomever that you're inheriting this from. But so you definitely want to check with a real estate attorney or someone that knows what they're talking about in order to file the right paperwork in order to make sure that it doesn't get reassessed new tax value. Because again, that could be literally thousands of dollars.
And you have a property that might have been in the family for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and the hope was that it stays in the family, and the family is going to be able to reap the benefits of this property, whether it be a rental or maybe it's a sale in the future. But now, because they don't have the liquid cash, if it's reassessed, guess what? Now it's very, very pricey to have that property. And how are you going to go to your renters and say, hey, by the way, your rent's $3,500. We're going to go ahead and hike it up to $8,500.
Yeah.
Can't really do that either, right? With rent controlled places.
Right.
So now we're in a situation where the house has to get sold.
Yeah.
And it just, again, for a little bit of effort and work, we're just trying to teach people to go and get that stuff handled. Even if you're busy.
Yeah.
If you do that work, whether you got 5 children and you're a busy person, just that little bit of effort is going to change your entire life and change the life of those heirs when that time does come, because it's going to come.
For everybody, sooner rather than later.
Hopefully for us, another 75 years.
Sooner that you get the paperwork done rather than later is what I mean.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so hey, again, we're not attorneys, we're not tax or financial advisors. We're real estate and mortgage guys, and we do it very well. We do a lot of them, but this is a very important topic that I hope resonates with you. I hope it prompts you or a loved one to go out and do these items, get these taken care of. It's very inexpensive. You can go to an attorney. You can go to your financial planner. You can go to online and have it drawn up. And it may not be as concise. I don't know, but that's a relatively inexpensive way to do it. And then you get a notary. Go down to a mailbox, etc. They can notarize stuff. Go to your local bank. They usually notarize stuff for free if you have an account there. And just get it done, just for mine's sake and for your family. So that's our thoughts on it. Feel free, like Dave says, give us suggestions, give us feedback and comments on this. Love to hear your story. Hopefully it's a positive one. And if you have recommendations or suggestions for other topics, feel free. We do this workshop partially because we love doing it, but also just to get knowledge out there. We're knowledge providers.
Yeah.
That's what makes us professionals is knowing the topics that we're dealing with. We don't know this one as well as we'd love to, but we do know quite a bit about how important it is, which is why we bring this topic to you. But if you have a topic you'd like for us to chat with you about, send it in. Email, text, direct message. Love to hear it. Also, if you do like these workshops and these little get-togethers, feel free to like, share, follow, all those kind of social media things that I know very little about. But feel free, because it helps us, and you helping us, in turn can help you.
And ultimately, too, this is all for social media things, liking, following, sharing. We want you to come say hi to us in person, too. We're right above the visitor center. If you guys, if we're here Monday through Friday, usually say safe to say 9 a.m.
9 to 4.
9 to 4. Come say hi if you have any questions, if you just want to chat. Real estate, we're always open to chat about real estate. But we do hope you guys had incredible Thanksgiving. We know there's one more holiday coming up. It's a big one. Hope you have an incredible Merry Christmas. I don't know if we're going to be talking to people before then, but
Nope.
But this is, we're already having 2026 is already almost here.
Yeah.
It went like that. And I sound so old when I say that, but
He's getting old.
it went to 2025 is almost over. What happened?
Yeah. First Monday of every month we do these workshops. 4 o'clock. I was a little tardy today, but put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
We'll be here again.
Put it on your calendar.
But let us know what topic you want to chat about. I'm thinking of a few, but let us know.
Yeah.
I'm Dave O'Hara, broker with Diamond Realty.
Gabriel
Myers. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.